Hello, my name is Melanie Desmuke. I am UALR's 2017 3MT winner and the regional People's Choice winner for the competition portion that was held in Fayetteville. As I started with this program, I initially determined that I was not going to do it because I just didn't have enough time. I felt like, I'm trying to get my research proposal done. I'm in the last stage of my doctoral degree. It's a lot going on top of, work, children, school, and everything else. So they continue to send emails, which is a great thing about the graduate school. They continue to solicit those people to do the event. So I said, why not? So I just tried, and I submitted it, and I just gave it a shot. I think my biggest issue was dealing with fear. I am not a great public speaker in terms of I've done it a whole lot, but I've always talked in front of my students. I've been teaching since 2008, so I said it can't be that much different. And the fact that it was about something that I'm passionate about, which is what my dissertation and my thesis focus is on, which is teaching and culturally responsive teaching. So after I registered and signed up, I prepared myself as I'm getting over this fear and dealing with speaking in front of an audience. One technique that I used was to go in front of my family. So I have mother, father, my two children, brother, his wife, my other brother, and they all sat in front, and I had to go over my speech. And I messed up a lot of times, even though it's my family that I'm used to, but it prepared me to get over those small stumbling blocks of just speaking in front of people. One piece of advice that my father gave me that was very important was to look at each of the judges for about maybe 4 or 5 seconds and just kind of travel to each judge as you're speaking so that you engage the judges. So obviously that worked well in some sense because I did win the competition, and I was not expecting to win, but I did remember his words, and so I followed my father's advice, and that helped me a lot as well. I also glanced over the audience, didn't focus too much on them as much as my judges, and they were sitting right in the front. So yes, it's nerve-wracking if you're not used to speaking in front of other people, and then it was a bit intimidating because other people were talking about engineering and technology and all of these wonderfully creative ideas, and I was thinking, I'm just talking about teaching. That's not going to make it. This stuff seems like it could change the world. You had cancer type projects. You had projects on apps that you could download, like really, really cool stuff. Not to say that teaching is not cool, because it goes into play with everything that we do, but I just kind of felt a bit intimidated. So I said a prayer to the Lord and went forth. I did my presentation as I had practiced before. Just to go back to a little bit of my preparation, I typed out my entire speech. I just kind of went with the flow and I typed it out. I went back, I revised it, typed it again, said it out loud because you have to stay in your 3 minutes. Like, that's non-negotiable. So I made sure that I spoke it well enough to have your audience engaged. They can hear you, they can understand you. You're not rushing, but there are not a lot of long pauses because, again, 3 minutes can go by quickly when you are trying to explain your whole thesis and dissertation, which, if you type it out, is 100+ pages. So I typed that out, practiced that. Another thing I did in preparation was I looked at a lot of people's 3MTs on YouTube. I believe this competition started in Australia, somewhere like that. So I looked at theirs, I looked at other 3MTs in the country, and I just really studied their engaging with the audience techniques and the format of the way in which they presented. There was also other professors that gave tips on the order and the sequence of how to present it, and so I just had to do a lot of research before I actually began to type out my speech. So I looked, and they started talking about when you open up, you want to kind of give the introduction portion of your thesis. So that's when you can come in with a few statistics that give the purpose and the reason behind your study. So, we call that the significance of the study or the purpose of the study in your actual thesis that you type up. So I took tidbits from those pieces and managed it into the beginning of my thesis. Then it led way into what I'm actually doing my research on. Since I hadn't done the research, it was all tentative in terms of what I would be doing, which I'm actually doing at this time now with my tentative graduation date in December. So it was easy to go through because a lot of that stuff was already done for me in terms of my research proposal. So I put it all together, practiced it a few times, practiced it in front of the mirror. I recorded myself. I had a lot of different ways to prepare, and I didn't wait until the last minute. I gave myself time to work through the jitters, work through any stuttering or, fumbling over words, and I did it so much that it became inherent. So even though I may not have said every single word from what I typed out, the meat of the matter and the content was there. And then you just flow with what's passionate in you. And hopefully you're doing your research on something that you are passionate about. The other portion of your 3MT presentation includes the PowerPoint. So I did mine in Google Slides, and then I saved it as a PDF because that was the requirement for submitting it. And so since I'm talking about culturally responsive teaching, and I deal with the systematic measures and systematic prohibitions that stop people from understanding different cultural differences, specifically with language. And that's what my study focuses on, is discourse and how teachers' attitudes are shifted, how we can shift their attitudes towards teaching children who speak the African American vernacular or even Chicano English, because those are really the biggest two minority populations we have here in Central Arkansas. So I looked at some of the words that are used against that vernacular, words that you may hear, and this was from my actual research study. Some of the studies looked at what were teachers' attitudes and what were some of the things that they reflected on when they talked about students who spoke African American vernacular English or Chicano English or Spanglish or any other variation. And a lot of those, specifically for African American vernacular, were these words that I listed here. So I just kind of contrasted black and white and reflected back on our society and our traditional black and white dichotomy that we deal with here in America, and how now it's expanding. So that's why I chose to do the colorful words, because they kind of contrast against what should be equal, should be fair, should be available for everyone, but we use these words to negate the culture and language of specific groups. And then this was kind of like it's all going into a large sinkhole through equitable education, which teaches culturally responsive teaching for teachers. So my study focuses on how do we educate teachers to feel like they can actually teach and be confident that they can teach all students. Because a lot of teachers will feel like they can't teach a certain group of kids because they're not connected, or either generationally or culturally. So that was the focus of my poster. Trying to think, is there anything else? Oh, we can talk about Fayetteville. So if you happen to win, which I was very excited about, the graduate school awarded me scholarship money, and I got Barnes & Noble gift cards that me and my two girls loved, because we went on a nice shopping spree at Barnes & Noble because we love books. So we got those. And then we went to Fayetteville. All expenses were paid. So Euler does take care of you in that aspect if you do happen to win and go forward. And it was a good experience just to see what other kind of research is going on around the region and what everyone else is doing, and just to meet new people and kind of just get a feel for the doctoral field overall. And that experience, I was still nervous, but I had family there, my mother, my two kids. They were very proud, and everybody else was just they seemed very engaged, and obviously they liked it because I won People's Choice, which I was surprised about again, because I never win anything. So to actually win twice was very exciting. So it's a great experience. My overall tip would be to get over yourself. The anxiety, the fear, the negative thoughts that may come in that you can't do it since you've never done it. Don't let that stop you. Always try the experience, even if I hadn't won, just to say that I got up and I conquered my own battle of fear, my own apprehension of how well I can do speaking in front of others. Just to say that I did that was enough for me and myself. So try it. It's a great experience. And anybody have any questions? Okay. So good luck. Try it out. 3MT.